And we're going to look at this. So, as you can see in the title, obviously, we're going to get into this. Obviously, it's certainly a pretty serious coincidence that on the anniversary of the JFK assassination, it's the anniversary of the JFK assassination, which, as you know, we like to talk about sometimes on this stream. You know this. Yesterday was the anniversary of the JFK assassination, and wouldn't you know it? Wouldn't you know it? My computer just stopped working that day of all days. What a wow. Very interesting timing on that. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. Jamaican Patty, thanks so much for the 10 months of Tier 1. The solution to traffic is for there. What's up, Ben? Thanks for joining us today. The solution to traffic is for there to always be really good TV so people don't leave their houses. So maybe the boring company should look at that. Yeah, if only they wouldn't stop being so fucking boring. Right? We'll get to this though. But I just did want to comment once again. It's an interesting coincidence. I'm not saying anything. I'm not suggesting anything that the CIA, shut down the power supply on my PC. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying it was the NSA or CSIS or the RCMP or Mossad, MI6, any of these agencies. I'm not saying that they had anything to do with that. I'm just pointing out, I'm just asking questions, okay? I'm just asking questions, and I find the timing of that kind of convenient, that's all. I find the timing on that pretty convenient. Riddle me this. Yesterday was the anniversary of the JFK murder, and when I went to the grocery store, there was no pecans left. Coincidence? I don't think that is a coincidence. No. I don't think that's a coincidence at all. I might not have the answers for why that would be. Maybe we haven't figured out we haven't figured out where to put all those puzzle pieces exactly. I don't think it's a coincidence at all, though. I didn't know this was going to be a scary stream. Well, it is. That's it. It's going to be very scary. And I did see the literally the CIA guy. Yeah, we're going to look at this. There's literally a guy from the CIA being like, no. Can you believe all these crazies that think the CIA had something to do with the JFK assassination? What? Yeah. I didn't know Molly Jong Fast was doing it as well. That's interesting. She actually follows me. I don't know what that's about. Isn't her grandfather, isn't she related to a famous communist as well? What's with all these communist fail children? Very disappointing. Started watching the Oliver Stone last night. Pretty comprehensive. Yeah, so I haven't been able to see the new one yet. The new JFK doc that Oliver Stone's putting on. I haven't seen it yet. Chin chin, everyone. I actually don't have a caffeinated beverage today. Quinn Better, don't say that. It's not true. It's not true. Don't even suggest that. So I don't have a Diet Coke and I don't have a Reign today. I've got no caffeinated beverages right now, so I had to make a coffee quickly before we started here. So chin chin with my coffee. It's actually pretty good. Decent coffee. I put some, little treat. Wanted to have a little treat. Put a little chocolate syrup in there. Kind of nice. You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
I stole this money from Jeffrey for you.
Hell yeah. Thank you, friends. Thanks for the Prime. We love those Prime bucks. We love it. Yeah, remember JFK wore a back brace when he fell over awkwardly. There was more people spreading this disinformation in my mentions yesterday, because I was doing a little JFK posting yesterday, talking about, I posted that Bill Hicks clip, and someone was like, oh, no, but you see, Penn and Teller did a whole thing where they shot, and you see exactly why he went back into the left, but actually there's a scientific reason for why his head movement did that. And why his brain gets blown out of the back of his head, despite being shot in the back of the head. And it's just like, will you fucking listen to yourself? Just listen to yourself. You sound ridiculous when you start talking like this. Give me a fucking break here. Come on. But Penn and Teller said that it's okay. It was normal that happened. Come on. Penn and Teller solved it, so we might as well just stop asking questions. Go back to bed. Go back to bed, America. More like Penn and Teller lies. Oh my. We can actually look at this. We can look at this stuff. Of course, it's not on the anniversary, which is unfortunate, but I think we still have to get into it a little bit today. It's too much part of the mythology of this program. It's too much a part of the mythology that we've built up here to just not mention it. Taking notes on my national security concerns from dudes that literally went to clown college. They're just laughing at us right now. They're laughing at this. They're laughing at us when they expect us to believe this stuff. No chain of custody either. No one wanted to lend credibility to the bullet's origin. They just found it on a stretcher. Isn't that convenient? They just found it. Like, oh, here it is. It was just lying here the whole time. Dabbing on us. Seriously, that's what it is. They're guys who can tell me my card, apparently. Also, ballistics experts. Is it wrong that I don't care that JFK was assassinated by the CIA? I mean, I don't know if it's wrong. I think it is important to talk about the ways, though, that marked a very significant shift in American foreign policy, though. We don't need to feel bad for, like, a rich liberal asshole like JFK. We sometimes, when we have these conversations, we get like confused about like, oh, we think he's some like peacenik or some great guy. Not true. Not true. Did a lot of bad things, but did at the very least have sort of a different vision for where foreign policy was going to go, which took a big shift in the wrong direction starting in like 1965, right after he did die. And put ICBMs in Turkey and caused the Cuban Missile Crisis. Well, yes and no, Danarchist, because it wasn't just JFK doing this, but it was the national security establishment that was doing that, leading to the Cuban Missile Crisis, right? And after Bay of Pigs especially, I mean, I've talked about this before, but after Bay of Pigs, I think like JFK was kind of like, okay, I'm fed up with these guys humiliating me, these fucking psychos in the CIA and the national security establishment. We're getting rid of these guys. And conveniently, right after that, you know what I mean? That's what I think is important to talk about. Not that we need to worship JFK or anything like that.
Talk you through all this.
Hi, comrades. TRRSXI.
Hey, Adobe Cult. Thanks for the 3 months of tier 2. Hell yeah. When I see that GIF pop up on the screen, it's really reminding me that I need to get a haircut. My hair is getting a little outrageous here. Seems notable if every subsequent president had to operate with, at the very least, a sneaking suspicion they had better stay in line. That's a good way of putting it. That's another thing Bill Hicks talked about, too. We can look at the Bill Hicks clips. Let's just get into it. I will say though, okay, I'll just give you a little personal update about my like computer situation. Because I went to turn on my computer on Saturday. And you know that like sinking feeling of dread you get when you go to turn on your computer and it just nothing happens? No lights, no beeps, no fan, just nothing, just completely dead. And I was like, oh, that's not good. That's not great. And I couldn't bring it in to the repair guy until Monday afternoon. He didn't get in there till like 12:30. But there's a really good like computer repair guy that I live nearby. You know, one of these like you go in and it's just all like dingy and a bunch of like junk lying around and all spare computer parts just like lying around. That's when you know it's going to be like serious, and you know you're not going to get ripped off by some kind of like a Geek Squad situation. One of these guys. So I was already pretty sure I knew what it was, just the power supply in my computer. When I built this PC, I used the power supply from my previous PC, which is like 10 years old. The power supply also was not quite enough to handle the occasional spikes. And the guy, when I initially built it, had warned me that could happen. So I was pretty sure that's what it was. I wasn't freaking out too much. It was disappointing, but I get to go. I went there, brought it in yesterday, went and picked it up today. And then when I brought it back today, Cherokee, that's exactly the place that I'm referring to. Atelier Micro Scott. Scott's the man. He really helped me out on this one. So I went today to pick up my computer. I brought it back here. It was less than what I thought it was going to be as well, which was a nice little surprise as well. Because Scott doesn't mess around with that kind of stuff. So I brought it back today and plugged everything in, plugged it all. I'm like ready to go. I'm ready to go back to getting this working. And I turn it on and it's nothing again. And I was like, oh my goodness, what is this? But then I just realized that it was just the switch. The switch at the back was to the off. But I had that moment of like, oh fuck. But it was okay. The Media Matters guy got ratioed talking about JFK. What Media Matters guy? I didn't see that. Like people are pointing out too, it's like the JFK stuff. It's a big, as we've covered on the show, it's a big part of the QAnon mythology. But that's the thing. It's not. I don't think it's accurate to try and frame anyone asking questions at all about the JFK assassination with this kind of wacky conspiracy world. Alex Kaplan, I didn't see that. That's funny. But I think the JFK assassination is a good. Did JFK want to escalate the war in Vietnam? No, but Danarchist, I think the theory is that he specifically did not want to. He in fact wanted to de-escalate it. That was that's part of the central premise of like why they took him out. Immediately after he's assassinated, you have the Gulf of Tonkin incident, which was also pitched as part of Operation Northwoods as a possible like false flag to get them into a war. Immediately after he dies, you have Gulf of Tonkin, and then at 65 just escalates exponentially for 10 whole years. Secret Service accidentally blowing his head off as likely as anything else. I just don't really think so, because I think ultimately that like it was a coup. It wasn't an accident. It was a coup. That's why I don't really believe that. But I think the JFK assassination, though, is like, that is why, you know, I understand why it's a part of the QAnon mythology. That is why these weird conspiracy types exist, is because everyone kind of fundamentally understands that the facts that were presented as part of the JFK assassination don't add up. And everyone kind of implicitly gets that there's more to the story than what was actually like admitted in the Warren Commission. And I think once you get this idea that like the government would lie about that and cover it up, and you see the media and different people being complicit in that lie, once you get this idea that like these kind of lies are out there, I think that's what leads people to start going down this path of being like, okay, well, what else is the government lying about? What else is... Sorry, I just knocked over the Spider-Man toy, which is on my desk for some. But, you start to question, like, what else am I being lied to about here? And that can lead people down these kind of dark paths as well, because, like, you start questioning things that aren't really in dispute. And then you start saying, like, anything the government says or anything the media says, well, the opposite must be true, which isn't really a useful analysis. The Devil's Chessboard makes a pretty solid argument that it was revenge for Kennedy refusing to send in the Air Force during the Bay of Pigs. Yeah, he kind of half-assed it in their view. And that's the reason it didn't work out, is that he refused to fully commit. There's also the idea that, like, not only did he want to de-escalate in Vietnam, but he wanted to de-escalate the conflict with Cuba as well. There's some evidence that that's true as well. Let's just get right into this. And yeah, lol, whatever, dog. I agree with that. I think people like Alex Jones they're doing a very deliberate sort of job by making these things seem ridiculous. When you have people like Alex Jones out there, it becomes much easier to be like, oh, you're not one of these wacky conspiracy guys like Alex Jones, right? And it allows people to kind of make this argument and push everyone that doesn't buy into this, whatever official narrative, into this pile to say like, oh, you don't need to take these people seriously. They're just these crazy conspiracy types. They're turning the frogs gay. Yeah, and Mel's. That I actually believe. And not only do I believe it, but I support it and hope that it's true. I hope they need to advance this gay frog technology.
This is some guy, Rob Russo, some leftist based in Canada. I was turned on to this sick individual, and I found this.
Hey, Jack AM, thanks for the raid. Look at that. Thank you so much to Jack and Kate. Thank you, Jack AM. I hope you guys had a great stream today. Thanks for joining us. Bring it on in here. What were you folks talking about today? So my computer was mysteriously not working the day of the JFK anniversary. So I'm catching up, even though it's not the anniversary anymore. I'm catching up. I'm catching up on some JFK stuff. You're talking about CGI Harold Ramis. We raised $1,000 for my mutual aid fund. That's wonderful. That's great. Well, welcome everyone. I'm glad you could join us today. Thanks again to Jack for the raid. Much appreciated, Jack and Kate. The Biden mad emote is tier 3. Why are you doing this to me? I'm sorry, Red Scary. I mean, I have to have tier 3 emotes, right? I just have to. So it's like I can't put the bad emotes in tier 3. It's like I feel like that'd be kind of shooting myself in the foot. Do Bill Hicks on marketing next. Danarchist, I gotta say, like, as someone that's been a Bill Hicks fan for many years, when I was actually working in marketing for a few years, I've talked about before how I worked for at a major ad agency for like 3 or 4 years, and I thought about that every day that I was there. What would Bill Hicks think about what I was doing right now? And I was like, I can't. It literally contributed to me like having to not do it anymore. Rob participating in the exploitation of chatters by locking up the best emotes. I'm very sorry. I don't know what to do. I don't know what I'm supposed to do here. And in fact, Mel's doesn't even have a sub. She doesn't even get any of the incredible emotes on this channel. And someone should probably gift. Sorry, I feel ridiculous saying this every time. Someone should probably gift Big Melon Lady a sub so she can at least have the tier 1s. We have no choice but to coup Rob the dullest way. Well, listen, when I'm making house money. When I'm making house money, okay? You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this. Oh, thank you, Thurston Falco. Thank you for gifting us up. Very kind of you. When I'm making house money, I'll free up the serious emotes for the OGs, okay? But I'm not making house money yet. I'm barely making rent money. Not only am I not making house money, I'm struggling to make like rent and grocery money. Literally, viewers with risque usernames are streamer kryptonite. It's tricky, that one. It's tricky. Here's Bill though. This has always stuck with me. I laugh at this every single time too. It's so funny. It's so funny and it's so true. I really miss Bill.
I love talking about Kennedy. I was just down in Dallas, Texas. You can go down there and to Dealey Plaza where Kennedy was assassinated. And you can actually go to the 6th floor of the School Book Depository. It's a museum called the Assassination Museum. I think named that after the assassination. I can't be too sure of the chronology here, but anyway, they have the window set up to look exactly like it did on that day. And it's really accurate, because Oswald's not in it. Yeah, so, wow, that's good. Painstaking accuracy, It's true. It's called a sniper's nest. It's glassed in. It's got the boxes sitting there, and you can't actually get to the window itself. And the reason they did that, of course, they didn't want thousands of American tourists getting there each year going, no fucking way! I can't even see the road! Shit, they're lying to us! Fuck! Where are they? There's no fucking way! No.
Was Bill Hicks assassinated? Well, probably not. Probably not. I would not be shocked, though, if there was some kind of a cancer gun situation with Bill. The same way they got Kwame Ture with the cancer gun. I don't want to rule it out, okay? I'm not saying that that's what happened. Maybe not. Maybe just totally natural causes. I don't think we should rule out the cancer gun. Do you know the Bill Hicks conspiracy theory? No, but I don't think Bill Hicks is Alex Jones. I don't subscribe to that. I don't subscribe to that theory. I know I'm certain that Bill Hicks is in fact dead. The question is whether he just was unlucky and died of natural causes right as his career was taking off, very tragic, or if they got him with some kind of a cancer gun situation, like with Kwame Ture and like with Chavez as well. Everyone cool who died was assassinated. I mean, we could just operate with that framework and just go backwards from there. I mean, that wouldn't... You're probably going to be right more often than not if you just, take that view.
Unless Oswald was hanging by his toes, upside down from the ledge. Either that or some pigeons grabbed onto him, flew him over the motorcade. Surely someone would have seen that. You know, there was rumors of anti-Castro pigeons seen drinking in bars. Someone overheard them saying, "Coo, coo, coo."
Let's see if I can find the other Bill Hicks thing on Kennedy. Yeah, here we go. Someone was mentioning this as well.
I have this feeling, man, because you know there's a handful of people actually run everything. That's true. It's provable. It's not I'm not a conspiracy nut. It's provable. Handful, very small elite run and own these corporations, which include the mainstream media. I have this feeling who's ever elected president, like Clinton was, no matter what your promises you promise on the campaign trail, blah, 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 when you win, you go into this smoky room with the 12 industrialist, capitalist scumfucks who got you in there, and you're in this smoky room in this little film.
Sorry, I think this is like a somewhat offensive right-wing version that they mixed together here. Let's try to find a different one.
I have this feeling, man, because you know there's a handful of people actually run everything. That's true. It's
There's some kind of problematic images being shown there.
Conspiracy nut. It's provable. Handful, very small elite run and own these corporations, which include the mainstream media. I have this feeling who's ever elected president, like Clinton was, no matter what your promises you promise on the campaign trail, blah, 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 when you win, you go into this smoky room with the 12 industrialist, capitalist scumfucks who got you in there, and you're in this smoky room, and this little film screen comes down, and a big guy in a cigar, roll the film. And it's a shot of the Kennedy assassination from an angle you've never seen before. It looks suspiciously off the grassy knoll. And then the screen goes up, and the lights come up, and they go to the new president. Any questions? Just what my agenda is. First we bomb Baghdad. You got it. You know what? Here's my...
Yeah, I agree. I agree, Lodane. This is why people think Hicks would be a reactionary. The right have tried to claim him. They edit his bits down to what they want. They like him because he's angry, but he hated every fucking one of them. That's the thing I always come back to. Like, I'm sure Bill would have been very disillusioned, you know, with liberalism. You know, there's a point when after Bush Sr. loses and he's kind of celebrating over Clinton winning, I'm sure he would have been very disillusioned with, like, the Democrats and liberals and things like this. But he fucking despised the conservatives, despised Reagan. So that's why I don't think some people say, like, oh, he'd be some kind of like Alex Jones type or a right-wing reactionary. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that.
Actual true. I've had a vision. And what it is even though this is a world where good men are murdered in their prime and mediocre hacks thrive and proliferate, I've got to share this with you because I love you. And you feel that. You know all that money we spend on nuclear weapons and defense every year, trillions of dollars, correct?
This is not a right-wing viewpoint. This is not a right-wing viewpoint here that he's going to articulate here.
Correct. Trillions. Instead, if we spent that money feeding and clothing the poor of the world, which it would pay for many times over, not one human being excluded, not one, we could, as one race, explore outer space together in peace forever. You've been great. Thank you.
Beautiful. What a beautiful thought. That is exactly why, you know, we should not entertain this idea that Bill Hicks today would be some kind of like right-wing reactionary type. They try to do the same with George Carlin as well. Yeah. That's right. Okay, so so hold on just one sec. Because I muted the guy that did this because they were bugging me, but I'm going to unmute. So we can see this bullshit here. So this is the thing about, no fucking way. This guy, Representative Press. There is, in fact, no fucking way, this guy says. And then Representative Press comes in. Yes way. But it did take Oswald 3 shots to finally hit Kennedy in the head. In the Marine Corps, Oswald qualified as a sharpshooter with a rifle. Oh, that just explains everything. What physics reveal about the JFK assassination? A new study suggests the grassy knoll JFK assassination theory is bogus. Okay. And then this person posted the back and to the left scene, which we can take a look at. Alana, I really recommend you check out this movie. I didn't see it for a long time either. I kind of missed it when it was so popular in the 90s. I didn't see it until recently. Highly recommend it though. Really awesome movie. And I think does a really great job of taking all these ideas and distilling it in a way that we can kind of easily understand it. It's entertaining. Should we do JFK movie night, even if I think most people have seen it? We could do that. I would also like to do like the new one, the JFK Revisited would also be good. Outrun also hasn't seen it. Okay. We might have to do that. We could do a marathon. We could do a 6-hour movie marathon of JFK and JFK Revisited. That would maybe be a little ambitious. The new documentary was wild. I wasn't very familiar with the whole event. Definitely JFK pilled now. Okay, very good. I'm glad to hear that. Let's continue the scene now. This is the theory. This is the theory that's basically laid out in the book Ben mentioned. I believe The Devil's Chessboard, it's called, which was a major inspiration for this movie. And this is just the theory, the official theory of what actually transpired. It's always so embarrassing when I see my son's YouTube recommendations when I'm trying to do this serious shit and I see fucking Lanky Box in my YouTube recommendations. I don't know, pretty straightforward though. Right? You see it. You can just see it. Back and to the left. But no, according to Mr. Science Man here, according to Mr. Science Man, that's actually that's like scientifically possible. I used to get that when my son was younger, 1 million Roblox videos. He loves this kind of stuff. We've watched it before. He loved Lanky Box. I don't know if you're familiar with Lanky Box. He loves these guys, so. I'm sure they're very nice guys. My kids love them too. Fuck those lanky fellas. I'm sure they're nice guys. But I don't want to have them on my TV screen anymore, or my computer screen. Need back into the left merch. I think we probably should have. I definitely want to include JFK stuff in the merch for this channel that we're creating right now, because it's such a central part of the mythology that we're kind of building up here, as you can see from the Mr. X emote. Those YouTube recommendations are exactly the cultural result of the Kennedy assassination. That's right. That's something we should dive into as well. So that seems pretty cut and dry to me. Back and to the left. You know? Pretty simple. But according to Mr. Science here, that's BS. According to Representative Press in my Menchies. And there's a whole video. Again, fucking Penn and Teller literally went to clown college. Please get out of here. These things, Jesus.
White tape is the skull. The skull.
According to Mr. Science, we're gonna get some melons here, and we're gonna prove using these melons. We're gonna prove using these fucking melons that what we all just witnessed with our own two eyes. We're gonna show these goddamn melons are gonna somehow prove that what we just saw with our own eyes is actually, not accurate. This is what we're doing. Big melon lady, this is your time to shine. Here we go. Let's see these melons.
The 1-inch wide tape is the skull for our melon. Dr. Louis explained that a bullet penetrating a skull doesn't transfer much of its energy to the head. It's a tiny hole, slides right in. The brain doesn't present much resistance, and when the bullet pops out the other side, it pulls a lot of brain, or in this case, melon goo, with it. The bullet and goo make a little jet blast that pushes the melon head in the opposite direction. Watch. The bullet and goo make a little jet blast that pushes the melon head in the opposite direction.
It's the exact same thing.
Second gun in my aching ass.
There we go. Look at that.
The one in brain.
Problem solved. Because these are the exact same to me. These are the exact same. It's the same thing. Melon rind is the same as bone. Penn and Teller were right-wing hacks, and they somehow managed to be less serious than the Mythbusters. They did have a very good pro-vax episode of this show, though. Well, I'm sure they've done some good stuff. I remember their film in the early 90s, Penn and Teller Get Killed. It's very entertaining. Okay, they do some enjoyable magic tricks. All my Moon Gang friends hate Mythbusters. As a melon expert, I can confirm that melon rind is basically the same as human bone. So this is it. This is supposed to debunk the whole thing that we just watched with our eyes. I don't know, folks, but don't take Penn, if Penn and Teller is not enough. If Penn and Teller is not enough to convince you of this, don't take their word for it. Because there's plenty of other people as well. Like this guy. Do you believe that the CIA killed JFK? Millions of Americans suspect so. Let me ask you then, why did they believe it? The tale can be traced to a Russian disinformation operation. Who's this guy? This motherfucker's name is... This is not a joke. This is not a joke. This motherfucker's name is John Cipher. His name is John Cipher. Well, what's John Cipher all about? Oh, former CIA clandestine service. Now Spycraft Entertainment and the Atlantic Council. So this motherfucker, John Cipher, former CIA spook, literally saying what? People believe the CIA killed Kennedy? Can you believe this? This Russian conspiracy theory? Real 555, come on now, name. It's beyond. It's honestly beyond parody. It is beyond parody. JFK conspiracy are all a Russian operation to discredit Chrystia Freeland. That's right. It all comes back to that. Cipher. That's right. I want to be someone important. Put me back in. Another CIA guy saying that the CIA didn't kill JFK, and this time I believe him. And it's funny because every single comment Every single comment is like this. It's really funny. Shut up. My dad works for the CIA and can get your entire neighborhood addicted to crack. Hi, I'm the CIA. You may remember me from such films as Who's This Guy Governing People on Top of Our Oil? Snack Wars, Revenge of the Fruit Company. Arming Afghans to fight Russia, what could go wrong? Hey, where's all this cocaine coming from? A dictator still has the weapons we gave him. And Moderate Rebels, a confusing love story. Again, his name is Cypher. His name is literally Cypher. Totally beyond parody. So that's kind of enjoyable. That's kind of enjoyable to see this like ratioing going on. I mean, they expect us to believe this. That's the amazing thing. They really expect us to believe this shit. I posted this clip yesterday. I don't know if you saw. I posted this clip from White Men Can't Jump, one of my favorite films. White Men Can't Jump, and coincidentally as well, not only one of my favorite films, one of Stanley Kubrick's favorite films. One of Stanley Kubrick's favorite films, White Men Can't Jump. Let's see this clip of Woody Harrelson starring as Billy Hoyle in the film White Men Can't Jump.
Check this out. The last words of Lee Harvey Oswald. It wasn't me, it was the CIA. No, you get it?
Yeah. I got it.
Police guy. Check this out. The last words of Lee Harvey Oswald. It wasn't me, it was the CIA.
Her face here is great.
No, you get it?
This is my partner whenever I start talking about this as well. Look at Rosie. We've all seen that face before. All of us in the truth community. We're familiar with this. We're familiar with this face. Woody's dad has, shall we say, an interesting life. Well, this is the amazing connection here as well. Because not only is Woody talking about this in this scene from this movie, Woody's dad, Woody Harrelson's father, has some kind of connection to the JFK assassination. Was like some kind of assassin or something. Sorry, I have been investigating this melon thing, and melons are mostly water, so they probably have a density close to water, and bone is 1.85 times more dense than that. No. The thing is that them shooting that melon totally just disproves that whole theory. Ridiculous. I dumped someone who went too far down the rabbit hole, and that face is literally her love for him dying. It's so great. She in this movie, Rosie Perez, kind of a side getting sidetracked here, but Rosie Perez in this movie is just so fucking great. She owns this entire movie. You know, Woody Harrelson and Wesley Snipes are obviously the co-leads, but Rosie Perez in this movie is just phenomenal. Absolutely amazing.
Check this out.
Let's see the face again.
Lee Harvey Oswald. It wasn't me, it was the CIA. No, you get it?
Yeah. I got it.
Police guy.
It looks like I did attract some fucking weirdos from this. I gotta say, obviously there is a lot of crossover with the JFK conspiracy world and the QAnon world. They're all hanging out in Dealey Plaza right now for this exact reason. So obviously I did attract some complete nut jobs in this. Vengeance shall be mine, saith our Lord. Okay, let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy here. How ironic, considering that Woody Harrelson's dad, a hitman for hire and convicted killer, claimed that he was the one on the grassy knoll who fired the fatal shot. Many believe this is his dad, Charles, in Dealey Plaza, the day of the assassination. That's kind of weird, isn't it? I mean, she is always great. Yeah, she is underrated. She's very underrated. But this was really... Okay, so I guess her breakthrough performance, what was that? Do the Right Thing? I'm pretty sure she's in Do the Right Thing. She's great in that, but... Tremendous in this movie, Rosie Perez. I really loved it. It's honestly one of my favorite movies. While you're on Twitter, go ahead and tweet that you're live. Oh, that's a good idea. I should do that, shouldn't I? I should do that, shouldn't I? I don't want to tweet when during the intro screen. We got to tweet when people are like ready, like there's already stuff going on. So yeah, apparently, Woody Harrelson's dad was allegedly one of the 3 tramps that I guess was in the train yard. I wonder if Chuds who rage tweet Rob ever come here and lurk. Oh, absolutely, Quinn Better. Sometimes, yeah. I mean, especially, not even Chuds, but the liberals that get really mad at me. You can't hear Jimmy. You're listening, you're not hearing it. It's more of the liberals, yeah. Specifically about this, many people that watch the show can attest to this. Because, you know, I was just asking questions about the whole January 6th thing one time. I just had a few concerns. I was just asking a few questions about why these, like, weird crypto fascist fucking boat dealership owners and freaks were allowed to like breach the US Capitol despite the full might of the, you know, United States government and security state. I thought that's a little suspicious, and I was like, yeah, that's kind of weird, isn't it? And then I had a bunch of like liberals getting really mad at that, and I had someone come in here to question me about it, which people might remember. And then when I was trying to explain that, they were like, "Oh yeah, you could make that same case about the JFK assassination or 9/11." And like they said that as like a gotcha, and I was like, "That's right. You can't make that case," and that really upset them even more. They should not be able to watch the stream for free, pay up libs, and I agree with that, Red Scary. I agree. Do you think some of the CIA guys that are monitoring socialists stream on Twitch are getting radicalized themselves? I would hope so. I hope whatever like CIA or CSIS or NSA guys assigned to this stream, I'm just hoping they start asking themselves a few critical questions. You know, that's all I can ask. That's all I can ask. No, but it was the same thing. Yeah, you can make these same cases about September 11th or about the Kennedy assassination. I was like, yeah, that's right, you can. They really were not happy about this. And I did see someone post this as well, which we should take a look at. Another clip from JFK. Why is it not going full screen now? That's the question.
What are we saying here?
We're saying that when Oswald went to Russia, he was not a real defector. That he was an intelligence agent on some kind of mission for our government and remained one till the day he died. That's what we're saying.
This is ONI, Office of Naval Intelligence. Lee Harvey Oswald. He defects to Russia. Stays there for like 6 months, a year, something like that, and then he just comes back to the United States. They just let him right back in there. They're like, "Oh, sir, please come back to the country. Should we ask you some questions about this whole like defection that you just did? You just defected. You tore up your passport and defected to Russia." And then he comes back with his Russian wife, and they're like, "Bring it on. Come in here, sir. Come back into the country. No questions asked. No hard feelings. All water under the bridge." Imagine how Thanksgiving was ruined in 1963. It's true. This movie actually gets into this because Costner gets so sucked into this world that he alienates his whole family from the anime glasses as well. What's up, Daka dude? The FBI we can all just trust without question. That's right. And I've seen people as well making this case that, like, even people that I like, saying, like, they lean into, like, the incompetence. They say they're so incompetent, they couldn't have pulled something like this off, you know? They're just a bunch of bumbling, goofballs in the CIA and the FBI and the intelligence community. Oh, how could they ever do something like this? Which totally discounts, like, all the political assassinations that took place in the 60s, which we know for sure, both domestically and internationally, that they were intricately involved with. Like, they weren't so bumbling and inept that they couldn't assassinate Fred Hampton, but they still did. You know? I think this is kind of an easy cop-out. Oh, they're just a bunch of bumbling dumbasses. MLK, Malcolm X, like, there's no shortage. This is just domestically, like, to say nothing of the assassinations internationally that we know for sure that they were involved with as well. So I don't buy that as well. I think it discounts, like, a lot of the very real things that they were involved with at this time. It is deliberate. Yeah, the bumbling empire. That's it. It's this trope that they really rely on. Oh, we don't start these wars, like, intentionally. You know, we just bumbled our way into these big wars where conveniently, you know, it led to these massive increases in stock prices for the national defense contractors. And conveniently, we just bumbled our way into this incident that led to, like, a unlimited money printing machine from the United States government going to the contractors and going to the intelligence community. Oh, shucks. We just fell ass backwards into this situation. Well, yeah, and they point to Castro as well, being like, well, they couldn't even take out Castro. But that speaks to how, like, in Cuba, they did a great job protecting themselves and defending themselves against imperialism and against this kind of counter-revolutionary activity. What about the supposed bullet that was found in pristine condition? That's got to be a lot of heinous things going on there. Yeah, we mentioned that earlier, Comrade Social Distancing. They just find this bullet on a stretcher. Whoops, we just found it. That explains that. The Bay of Pigs happened because Gary was roller skating in the office and slipped and fell on the big red Bay of Pigs button. That's right. Again, very typical of the Western left to not have an international perspective or understanding of the workings of these things. It's a sort of unresolved American exceptionalism, or we're the center of the worldism. Yeah, there is a lot of that aspect of it. There's like 20 minutes on the magic bullet in the new doc. We really got to see this. We really got to see this new documentary. This bumbling empire just threw away the autopsy notes for JFK. Whoops. This bumbling empire just lost the Apollo 11 tapes. Oh, darn. Would a JFK assassination by the CIA mean that there was a coup in the US? Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what it means. There was a coup.
I love that. Some pigeons grabbed onto him.
Why is it not going full speed?
Flew him over the motorcade. Surely someone would have seen that. You know, there was rumors of anti-Castro pigeons seen drinking in bars. Someone overheard them saying, coup, coup, coup.
Look at how quickly the Dems closed ranks against Sanders. Whenever the target is to its left, the American empire does a Hulk Hogan power up and finds reserves of strength and competence previously untapped.
You can count
that's
on
right.
me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Rylan, thanks so much for gifting a sub to Crad Babes. Thank you, Rylan. I was watching JFK Revisited last night and my TV kept losing the HDMI signal and it never does that. It is spooky. Pissed. That's why it was very spooky when conveniently on the day of the anniversary of the assassination, for some reason my computer just stopped working that day. Isn't that strange? Isn't that weird? What a weird coincidence that is. And talking about this idea of like Russiagate, Here you have a gaming disorder pog who has done some good tweets about this as well. And I know did a whole segment on the culture about it that I was thinking about maybe watching if we have time. Applying Russiagate rhetoric to JFK is a masterclass in liberal consent manufacturing and a testament to the success of the April 1967 CIA directive countering criticism of the Warren Report, specifically 3A and B, which itself was only released because of the Oliver Stone movie. So here you have a document here from 1967, from the CIA. Subject, countering criticism of the Warren Report. Open image in new tab. Open this in a new tab as well. Our concern. From the day of President Kennedy's assassination on, there has been speculation. Hold on. You know what? I'm going to take this. I don't want to have just this dry reading of a document. Our concern. From the day of President Kennedy's assassination on, there has been speculation about the responsibility for his murder. Although this was stemmed for a time by the Warren Commission report, which appeared at the end of September 64, various writers have now had time to scan the Commission's published report and documents for new pretexts for questioning, and there has been a new wave of books and articles criticizing the Commission's findings. In most cases, the critics have speculated as to the existence of some kind of conspiracy, and often they have implied that the Commission itself was involved. Presumably, as a result of the increasing challenge to the Warren Commission's report, a public opinion poll recently indicated that 46% of the American public did not think that Oswald acted alone, while more than half of those polled thought that the Commission had left some questions unresolved. Doubtless polls abroad would show similar or possibly more adverse results. This trend of opinion is a matter of concern to the U.S. government, including our organization. The members of the Warren Commission were naturally chosen for their integrity, experience, and prominence. They represented both, including Allen Dulles, who fucking Kennedy himself fired as head of the CIA, was also selected to be part of this commission for some reason. They represented both major parties, and they and their staff were deliberately drawn from all sections of the country, just because of the standing of the commissioners' efforts to impugn their rectitude and wisdom tend to cast doubt on the whole leadership of American society. Moreover, there seems to be an increasing tendency to hint that President Johnson himself, as the one person who might be said to have benefited, was in some way responsible for the assassination. Innuendo of such seriousness affects not only the individual concerned, but also the whole reputation of the American government. Our organization itself is directly involved. Among other facts, we contributed information to the investigation. Conspiracy theories have frequently thrown suspicion on our organization, for example, by falsely alleging that Lee Harvey Oswald worked for us. Of course, no, that was Office of Naval Intelligence. Very, very different. The aim of this dispatch is to provide material for counterfeiting and discrediting the claims of the conspiracy theorists so as to inhibit the circulation of such claims in other countries. Background information is supplied in a classified section and in a number of unclassified attachments. And here's the main part that we need to focus on here. Action. We do not recommend that discussion of the assassination question be initiated where it is not already taking place. Where discussion is active, however, addressees are requested. Addressees are requested to discuss the publicity problems with liaison and friendly elite connects, especially politicians and editors, pointing out that the Warren Commission made as thorough an investigation as humanly possible, that the charges of the critics are without serious foundation, and that further speculative discussion only plays into the hands of the opposition. Point out also that parts of the conspiracy talk appear to be deliberately generated by communist propagandists. Urge them to use their influence to discourage unfounded and irresponsible speculation. to employ propaganda assets to answer and refute the attacks of the critics. Book reviews and feature articles are particularly appropriate for this purpose. The unclassified attachments to this guidance should provide useful background material for passage to assets. Our play should point out, as applicable, that their critics are 1. Wedded to theories adopted before the evidence was in, 2. Politically interested, 3. Financially interested, 4. Hasty and inaccurate in their research, or 5. Infatuated with their own theories. In the course of discussions of the whole phenomenon of criticism, a useful strategy may be to single out Epstein's theory for the attack, using the attached Fletcher-Nebel article and Spectator piece for background, although Mark Lane's book is much less convincing than Epstein's and comes off badly where contested by knowledgeable critics. It is also much more difficult to answer as a whole, as one becomes lost in a morass of unrelated details. 4. In private or media discussion, not directed at any particular writer or attacking publications which may not yet be forthcoming, the following arguments could be useful. No significant new evidence has emerged what the Commission did not consider. The assassination is sometimes compared with the Dreyfus case. However, unlike that case, the attacks on the Warren Commission have produced no new evidence, no new culprits have been convincingly identified, and there is no agreement among the critics. A better parallel, though an imperfect one, might be with the Reichstag fire of 33, which some competent historians now believe was set by van der Lubbe or his own initiative, without acting for either Nazis or communists. The Nazis tried to pin the blame on the communists, but the latter have been much more successful in convincing the world that the Nazis were to blame. Critics usually overvalue particular items and ignore others. They tend to place more emphasis on the recollections of individual eyewitnesses, which are less reliable and more divergent, and hence offer more handholds for criticism, and less on ballistic, autopsy, and photographic evidence, which we don't have access to. Incidentally, a close examination of the Commission's records will usually show that the conflicting eyewitness accounts are quoted out of context or were discarded by the Commission for good and sufficient reason. C. Conspiracy on the large scale often suggested would be impossible to conceal in the United States, especially since informants could expect to receive large royalties, etc. Note that Robert Kennedy, Attorney General at the time, and John F. Kennedy's brother would be the last man to overlook or conceal any conspiracy. And as one reviewer pointed out, Congressman Gerald Ford would hardly have held his tongue for the sake of the Democratic administration, and Senator Russell would have had every political interest in exposing any misdeeds on the part of Chief Justice Warren. A conspirator, moreover, would hardly choose a location for a shooting where so much depended on conditions beyond his control: the route, the speed of the cars, the moving target, the risk that the assassin would be discovered. A group of wealthy conspirators could have arranged much more secure conditions, and you'd know all about that, wouldn't you? Critics have often been enticed by a form of intellectual pride. They light on some theory and fall in love with it. They also scoff at the Commission because it did not always answer every question with a flat decision one way or the other. Actually, the makeup of the Commission and its staff was an excellent safeguard against overcommitment to any one theory or against the illicit transformation of probabilities into certainties.
You can count on me. You're going to have good old Rob to talk you through all this.
Fellow patriots, my wisdom teeth are out and I'm worried that my doctors put a tracking device in my mouth, and I fear that Soros has my location at Rob Rousseau.
Coal mine, thank you so much for the 10 months of Tier 1. I'm really sorry to hear about the tracking device that was implanted. That's really unfortunate stuff. I'm sorry to hear about that. Johnson literally didn't reveal that Nixon did treason with the South Vietnamese government because he thought it would be too destabilizing. Yeah. This idea that like all these company men, these are all company men. Whether they're Democrat or Republican, they're company men. And they're just going to like come out and, because for some partisan reason, start questioning these things, especially when they know that the power that these kind of people have. This is so realistic. The music is so loud as to drown out my briefing. Dialectics. I know this was kind of longer. When I sat down to start reading it, that was longer than I expected it to be. But it was, once I started, I was like, well, I've got to get through this whole thing. That's why I did the music, to make it more entertaining and engaging for people. No, there's no deep state. That's a Trumpist conspiracy. The obvious Obviously, the Trumpist understanding of deep state is pretty much entirely conspiratorial shit based on some fucked up shit. Yeah, they have a very surface level understanding. But I mean, even think about the ways that Trump has been used to distance people from these things. Like just the idea now, if you say deep state, you're like, oh, you're some like Trump guy. You're some like weird reactionary Trump guy. While just not acknowledging the bipartisan foreign policy establishment, the intelligence community, which is completely bipartisan, no matter who's in charge. The idea that there's powerful people, interests within the United States government that seem to have more power than any political party or any individual. That is like indisputable. But because of Trump, it's like, oh, now if you say deep state, you're some kind of like wacky right-wing conspiracy guy. And the music is so loud as to drown out my briefing. It's like I'm sitting in the car with my hander blaring out Little Spanish Flea as we discuss my next assignment. Very good. Yeah, and okay, great question as well. Unelected airwaves, very good question. How many people didn't do what Snowden did? It's a great question. You know, and that's it. It's like there's many folks that are exposed to this kind of thing. They just do their jobs. They just shut up and just do their jobs. And those are the exact types that they recruit for these positions. People that aren't going to speak out about these things. If you believe that Trump served as white noise for the deep state, got to think it was just as useful to legitimize fact checkers as we know how backwards that shit is. Yeah, of course. And it also legitimized having people from the FBI and the CIA just go, you know, we've talked about like, you know, this kind of Operation Mockingbird type stuff where we know about the ways that the CIA and the intelligence community manipulated mainstream media. There used to be kind of like a degree of separation between the intelligence guys and the media. But in the Trump era, all that went away because Trump was like against, you know, he was so rude and disrespectful to the heroes and the FBI and the CIA. Now, all of a sudden, you've just got guys from the CIA, like that John Cipher asshole, just going on TV themselves and being like, oh yeah, no, I'm from the CIA, I'm from the FBI, and this is what I think about this. This is what I think about this like Russian propaganda situation. You know, that's one thing that was normalized during that era as well. I mean, liberals used to distrust these people. Liberals used to distrust the CIA and these intelligence guys. And now liberals at this point, they worship these people. Like they fucking elevate because all these people, they hate Trump so much that when these FBI guys say like, yeah, I also hate Trump. Right? And that's why I'm going to go on TV. And these liberals just fucking worship the ground that they walk on now. Like they used to have some skepticism about, you know, things that happen within the intelligence community, which is all just kind of evaporated now. Now they just unequivocally trust everything that these people say. Yeah, they love the FBI and the CIA now because Trump was rude to them. That's it. And even when you have these discussions, it start to be like, well, are you some kind of like Trump supporter or like right wing? And it's like, no, not at all. You know, Orange Man bad. I agree. I agree that the Orange Man was bad. But just because you agree that the Orange Man was bad doesn't mean you need to start listening to every single thing that the CIA or the FBI says. Or you should just abandon any skepticism you might have once had about these folks. You know, if you take the position that the Orange Man was bad, and then you all of a sudden just immediately accept and agree with anyone that like says that goes on TV and says like, oh, Orange Man bad, you're kind of playing yourself. Yeah, they're literally running. Not only do you have like FBI and CIA people on TV, like on MSNBC talking about this stuff, you literally have like FBI guys and CIA guys running as Democratic Party candidates. Abby Spanberger, yeah, who is one of the main people that's like, isn't she like one of the main people that's like, oh, the defund the police. We can't ever talk about defunding the police. That's why we lose now, is because we talked too much about these protests and police violence and systemic racism and defunding the police. We can never talk about that ever again, because that's when we lose, when that happens. That's when the Orange Man supporters start winning, is when we talk about defunding the police. We can never mention that again. The Bill Kristol Resistance Hero rebrand should have been a tell to more of these liberals. It was really discouraging, Robert Mack, throughout that whole period, how they would just unequivocally, unquestionably accept anyone, any of these former fucking neocon freaks and ghouls who just say like, oh yeah, I don't like Trump. And these liberals just welcome them with open arms immediately. That's you have this one little thing you can say. John Bolton, John Bolton, absolute psycho, warmongering psycho. Oh, but he said Orange Man bad, so bring it on in, John Bolton. Jeff Sessions, welcome back to the resistance. It's ridiculous. Like, it became a joke. It became like a joke or a meme because of how stupid it was. Literally anyone can just say. And I think even right-wing people figure that out too. They're like, oh, I can just like, these people will immediately accept me and trust me if I just say like Orange Man bad. Even if they don't actually think the Orange Man was bad, they can just say it and people will just automatically believe them and give them a platform, donate to them. The Lincoln Project guys are like this. Liz Cheney. Yeah, Liz Cheney is a big liberal hero now. Remember this?
How do we measure the impact of a film? We've all made a significant for performance.
Brad Pitt was great in this movie.
In a supporting role. Tom Hanks, A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood. Anthony Hopkins, The Two Popes. Al Pacino, The Irishman.
The Hillbilly Elegy guy is funny too, because now he's like that kind of failed, and now he's just kind of leaning into the Trump thing as well, which is funny. Because no one bought it. Even that guy was just too lame. No one bought it. So now he's like, oh yeah, actually I'm into that Trump stuff. I watched Once Upon a Time in Hollywood the other day and I really enjoyed it. So I was just watching this naturally and I'd forgotten about this moment.
Joe Pesci, The Irishman.
Pesci just didn't show up.
Brad Pitt, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. And the Oscar goes to Brad Pitt. Once Upon a Time.
This is the second Oscar for Brad Pitt, his first for acting.
Listen to this.
Wow. Thank you. This is incredible, really incredible. Thank you to the Academy for this honor of honors. They told me I only have 45 seconds up here, which is 45 seconds more than the Senate gave John Bolton this week.
Go off, King. John Bolton. We got to shout out John Bolton in the Oscar speech. You talk about David Suzuki already? No, I think we're going to transition into that in a couple minutes. I'm going to close up the JFK stuff for now. I'm going to close the file on this soon so we can try and talk about that as well. Just I missed the JFK anniversary, so I'm trying to cram all my JFK stuff into this segment here, and then I'm going to try and transition into talking about Canada and the RCMP and all this stuff. But yeah, amazing, right? We got to shout out John Bolton in the Oscar speech. And again, I was just watching this randomly. I wasn't even watching it for like research or anything. I was really obsessed with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood when I watched it. And I saw this and I was like, Jesus Christ. Wonder if there's any, connection between the CIA and Hollywood and that kind of stuff. Probably not, though. I'm sure there isn't. It's probably nothing. Did he actually shout out John? But well, look.
Incredible. Really incredible. Thank you to the Academy for this honor of honors. They told me I only have 45 seconds up here, which is 45 seconds more than the Senate gave John Bolton this week.
Take care, Red Scary. Red Scary. I'm hoping to see a picture of the pie in the Discord. American hero John Bolton, because he said Orange Man bad. That's right. He said Orange Man bad. Brad, you should have stayed in Oklahoma. You might have been okay like me, but instead your family raised you in Missouri, and therefore you're fucking miserable and make us all the same. Well, we might as well take a look at what's going on in Dealey Plaza right now as well, to talk about the ways that these like really genuine nutjob conspiracy people have absorbed this. We covered for a while. A few weeks ago they were there, and I guess they've been waiting for JFK to come back. They've absorbed JFK into this whole QAnon conspiracy theory. They think JFK and JFK Jr. are both still alive and have been waging some kind of secret war against the deep state for the last several decades, teaming up with Trump. And they're both apparently going to come back and anoint Trump as the president again. They were there a few weeks ago waiting for him to come back, and then they stayed there. They were certain that the anniversary is the day that he was going to come back. So they're all still there now. Friend of the stream, Enes Kanter. Yeah. Had a great conversation with John Bolton about human rights issues in Turkey. Definitely Enes Kanter is someone we need to be taken seriously as like a human rights advocate. Absolutely. Absolute psychopath, John Bolton. I mean, even when you listen to Trump talk about Korea and his like peace negotiations with North Korea, John Bolton was there advocating that they enacted the Libya model. Like, and I'm sorry, yes, Orange Man bad, but in that situation, Trump was 100% correct. And Bolton was there, advocating that they bomb them into the fucking Stone Age again. And of course, this is the guy that ends up being the liberal hero. So the 16th, they were back in Dallas. Hundreds of these QAnon types.
Exactly what's happening here today is we have a...
I'm going to refresh this because I'm having some issues going full screen for some reason.
We have a group of God-loving...
This will have to do.
Patriots that come together, meeting each other from meeting online, and celebrating the fact that we love the Constitution, we love America, and we love being patriots.
Okay, awesome. So the major headline today is that some people believe JFK is returning, JFK Jr. What do you think about that?
I hope he does. Yeah.
Okay.
That'd be awesome. Oh, it's reversing the spell of what happened to JFK Sr.
Senior or Junior? Was Senior?
They faked their death. Junior,
okay.
And they said Senior did not die and Jackie did not die either.
So Jackie is going to be resurrected as well?
Well,
or she never died?
They said there was 900 celebrities that had to fake their death due to the Illuminati and their contracts that they had. So they called it the Gone with the Wind program. And they're supposed to return as well and let everybody know what was going on with the Illuminati, with the record business, and with the acting business, and with Epstein Island, and child trafficking, and human trafficking that they were all involved in, that the press never talks about because they're a part and complicit in being part.
One message to get across about what's happening today to the world, what would it be?
It is that it's going to reverse the spell of what the Illuminati tried to do to JFK and to bring in the age of Aquarius.
All right. JFK Jr. may not be deceased. They said he would resurrect at 12, so do you know why he's late? Maybe he got stuck in traffic?
We think it's going to be at night. I think it's going to be tonight.
Tonight?
Tonight at the
At Dealey Plaza?
Possibly.
Okay, sweet. All right, thank you guys so much. Are y'all going to see JFK return? Okay, could y'all answer a couple questions or just one question? Okay, what is the big message that you want to get across for what's happening here today? Now comes the pain or out comes? Now comes. All right, thank you so much.
Now comes the pain. That's pretty
All
obvious.
right, thank you.
And this is the kind of thing too. It's like people have questioned like whether this is an op, you know, and like I don't think it's. Like I said, I think there is an element where there's elements
an elite
within
member of the friendship triangle.
Oh my goodness, Comrade Social Distancing. Thank you so much for gifting 5 subs, Comrade Social Distancing. I really appreciate that. Hell yeah. Hype. Poggers. Can we all agree it would be fucking cool if they came back? Yeah, listen, I would be the first person to eat my words. If JFK and JFK Jr. and all the celebs, Tupac, Elvis, they all just came back and we're like, no, we've been waging a secret war against the Illuminati this whole time. I'd be like, yeah, I was wrong. You were right and I was wrong. I'd be the first person to admit this. I do think that, like, yeah, we've talked about the ways that I think that there's elements within the intelligence community that kind of encourage this kind of thing, that encourage the spread of this kind of wacky conspiracy theory, because then they can take everything and put it into that pile, right? And it's a way to discredit people. I also don't want to discount the fact that there are just like loony people out there that gravitate towards these conspiracy theories. Like I said before, partially because they're aware of the ways that the US government has just lied repeatedly over and over and over, and the way that the mainstream media echoes these lies, and they work in tandem to lie to people. I do think that just naturally messes with people's brains, including ours, including my own, right? This is it's partially why I'm skeptical about all these things, because when you realize the extent of subterfuge that's going on and the lies that are told, you start to kind of have this thing of like, well, what else are they lying about? And then people go into this very serious destructive rabbit hole to believe all this stuff. So I don't want to discount the fact that there are just like wacky people that get pulled into this. The people are marks motivated by an op. Yeah, I think that's kind of part of it. I mean, there's many connections between the feds and like the whole conspiracy movement, the QAnon movement. I think when you go too far in that direction, though, you end up kind of like discounting just the very kind of Occam's razor solution that there are just like kind of wacky people that get pulled into these things for a variety of reasons. Also, people that have felt like the promise of you know what our society and what our economy and our culture was supposed to be have kind of evaporated. They're looking for connection, and they're all these kind of like weird kind of motivations like that. I think that's an element of it as well. Feedback loops of deception and distrust. I think that's a good way of putting it. That's the thing. Whenever we talk about that, I don't want to discount the fact that like there are indeed just people that naturally get pulled into this kind of stuff. If they landed in the TRRS Discord instead, that would have been better. Exactly. And that's why this community is important, Squatch True. So we can catch some of these folks before they get pulled into this world. Right? And show them the correct and true conspiracies rather than the bad ones. We're the good cult. That's right. Not that it's a cult or a pyramid scheme. I mean, I'm not saying that either. But, you know, that's why it's important. Q stopped posting, so the whole movement is leaderless. Well, yeah, at some point it grew beyond like whatever Q was saying, right? I think at one point Q, like the official Q account, was like, no, JFK Jr. is not alive. I don't know what gave you that idea. And they were all just like, shut up. And they just completely ignored it and were like, yes, he is. So the only good cult. It's a gathering of friendship and not a cult. Thank you. And so this was yesterday. This is apparently the leader the leader of the QAnon types in Dallas waiting for JFK to return from the dead.
Yes, John Kennedy 174. I am Jesus Christ 174. Yes, John. Yes, John.
Because that's the thing as well. We can talk about this, like the socioeconomic elements that get people pulled into these movements. Also, it's just a very like right-wing reactionary thing, like a religious. It's really like evangelical. There's like an evangelical Christianity element of it as well, which I don't want to discount as well. They've basically taken Trump and people like John F. Kennedy and John F. Kennedy Jr. and given them this kind of like real significant like spiritual meaning, right? I know of one streamer that is a QNet streams live across at least 5 platforms and his chat is full of them. Definitely anti-vax, has had even some videos taken down by YouTube and Facebook for misinformation. Yeah, I mean, these people have gravitated towards the pandemic stuff, and that's the really dangerous thing is they are so mistrustful of anything that now that like anything that the government does, particularly when it's been in control of like their like official enemies, and they automatically is like fold that into their mythology. This was today. Like they've been there for like weeks. They were like we talked about this like what was it like 2-3 weeks ago? They were there. They've been there this whole fucking month. They've been hanging out in Dealey Plaza just waiting for the JFK to come back. Fonzons. That's actually not Rob, just to be clear. The community member Fonzons. That's not accurate. That's not actually Rob. That's me. So just so we're familiar, just so we're aware of this. No, not Rob. Not true. This was last night. Yeah. Like this is probably a bad sign, some of this stuff.
No coward. We look to God for the power. This is our hour. Justice rains down like a shower. COVID-19 in the towers. This is vengeance. There's no mercy, no repentance. There's no retreat, no forgiveness. When the storm comes, on grandma, the whole world will witness. This personal, this is not business. This for the children. Children, they die or they suffer. So now we go strive.
This is kind of nice with it, though.
My brother's brother. And swing out because God got us covered. Both sides below and above us. Yeah, lottie dottie, a whole lot of body. No need to shed a tears, just the Illuminati. Get the mainstream out of dead men, that's what I see. Fire and squad, a lethal injection, I'll be young Kennedy moving just like a centipede. Can't box me in, it's like it's 10 of me. I seen the rap forgot when they asked me what got into me. Bible and a rifle make reality a memory. Shooters give them every shell so you can go ahead.
Bible and a rifle make reality a memory. There's all kinds of really alarming stuff too. They're all starting to talk about like dying. They're in like fulfilling some kind of prophecy through death. It's really seems like it's. I felt this way for a while, but it's like it really is like on the verge of taking this really dark turn as well. There's like thousands of recently fired cops and soldiers who believe that they're required by their oath to resist and fight back against the alleged Biden vaccine tyranny, and who have bought the Q narrative completely. And history shows us these conditions are only a few steps away from a coup. And crowd, I mean, that's a good point, and that's one reason why I've never really, there's been kind of this like ironic left thing of talking about January 6th and being like, oh, it's lame to think that that was like a serious issue. The whole like Capitol riot thing. While discounting like the number of law enforcement officers that are involved in this movement. You know, I think it's a really troubling sign for where things might be going. And yeah, that's the cops. All those cops are like hanging up those black flags and stuff, like the black American flags. That's a whole thing as well. This feels like the kind of thing that ends in matching outfits drinking poison. I mean, that's it. It's like we're starting to hear that kind of language coming from these guys. Honestly, I feel like everyone just wants a revolution, but we failed to bring Marxism to them. Well, that's not our failure, Sam. I mean, there's been a deliberate effort for the last century, like since 1919. There's been an effort to ensure that no one gets any ideas about Marxism or about incorporating any of these ideas into this revolutionary concept, right? There's been a very deliberate effort to ensure that people never do that. Did we ever listen to the Let's Go Brandon song as No Right to Go as Hard as It Does? I do not have a link to it right now. I'm trying to remember. Oh, fucking Christ. I remember someone that was...
Show respect.
Yes.
Is childish.
Yes. I've had people stop talking to me for my views.
You should show respect.
Yes.
What's going on in your shirts?
I think they speak for themselves, do they not?
Why doesn't someone want to engage with that? Am I right?
Exactly.
This is sort of like the Trump welcome sign, right?
Maybe the most surprising moment of the rally was when I ran into an old friend I thought I'd never see again.
Q's back! And there's Q shit everywhere!
Yes, the online conspiracy following a mysterious character known as Q was more popular than ever.
Is that a Q?
Yeah.
Are you a Q supporter?
Certainly.
Wasn't Q's whole thing that Trump would be reinstated as president?
He's never left. There's no doubt in my mind, 150,000%.
That he's still president of the United States? Really? Does he still hold the powers of the presidency?
Well, he's been flying around the world on Air Force One. It says something.
I thought Joe Biden's technically on Air Force One. No. So they're faking it?
Yeah, it's not even a presidency.
Who is running the government right now?
President Trump.
He's running the government.
And the military.
And
which is funny too, because they hate what the government's doing. They hate the vaccine mandates and all this stuff. They can hold, I mean, it's a cliche, it's Orwellian. They can hold these two ideas at the same time. Trump never left, he's still controlling the government, but also the government is doing these evil vaccine mandates that I also hate. If I were President Trump and I was still in power in the United States, I would say, like, you know, let's not do that. But apparently he doesn't have this power. I heard the Eric Clapton anti-vax song in Walgreens the other day. Oh my God, that's so dystopian. That's so fucking dystopian. We hate the deep state except when it's our deep state. That's right. Let me just see if I can find one more thing here. We'll do a palate cleanser with the Let's Go Brandon song in 1 minute. Let me see if I can find. There's someone that I follow that connects all this QAnon stuff to Shinriko, this like Japanese cult that did these sarin gas subway attacks. And they've been talking a lot about this. Let me see if I can find what I'm talking about. They've been following this QAnon movement from the beginning and pointing out the very significant relationship between the Shinriko cult and QAnon. It says it's possible that the first gathering at Dealey Plaza on November 2nd was like a Ishigaki seminar moment for the group, which was one of the first moments where this cult really started to like solidify. Before they committed this suicide attack in the Tokyo metro. Declaring myself the Christ, disclosing the true meanings of Jesus Christ gospel. Shoko Asahara as well. Many crossovers here. This person has been ringing Nezumi Ninjen has been ringing the alarm bells about this for like a long time. I was trying to find the specific thing that I was talking to about this. Oh yeah, I think it was this that I wanted to talk about. The way that they're like canonizing these right-wing figures using these Sonnenrad halos. They're canonizing like Anders Breivik, the Unabomber, Timothy McVeigh, Dylan Roof. They're giving them these white supremacist like halos, sanctifying them. They're giving Rittenhouse a lot of the same treatment. Now, seeing this kind of stuff. I know the Unabomber he made some points, okay? We don't need to get too into that, but yeah. Yeah, no, I agree. I agree, Sam and Lodane with the Unabomber, but it's not like these, as we talked about right up front with Bill Hicks and George Carlin. These people don't have like, they're not limited in their ability to absorb people into this movement and give them meaning that they didn't necessarily have like originally.